Hi everyone, it's Jessie and today I'm going to show you how I make my Earl Grey French macarons. In the description below are all the ingredients and as well the steps one by one for you to follow along. At this time, before we do anything, I recommend preheating your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Now on the right I have all the ingredients for the actual shells and on the left I have the ingredients for the buttercream icing. So here I have 3/4 cup of ground almonds and 1 cup of icing sugar. What we're going to do is combine them together in a food processor, and this is going to help make your mixture a little bit more fine, just in case. And this is really important because this is actually going to make sure that your dry mixture is going to be fine as possible. So at the end when you have your results, you're going to have that nice hard, soft looking shell that you want. After you're done doing that, you're going to pour it into a sift and you're going to sift it through into a bowl. Again, this step is just going to make sure that if there's any chunks left over, it doesn't actually go into the mix. Next, you're going to put 2 tablespoons of loose leaf Earl Grey tea into the dry mixture and whisk it together. I have pre-ground these even more into more of a powdery kind of Earl Grey. After you're done whisking your dry ingredients, you can put 2 egg whites into your mixer or mixer bowl or use your handheld mixer and beat them until they become foamy. You can as well add a pinch of salt during this stage. With the mixer on high, slowly sprinkle in the 1/4 cup of sugar. Do this in increments very slowly because you don't want to burst all that air that you put into your egg whites. After you incorporate the sugar for a while, you can add in your coloring. Again, I prefer to use gel coloring because it doesn't ruin the consistency and a lot goes a long way. And then you can keep whipping your meringue with the coloring until you reach stiff peaks, but do not overmix because this can cause issues later with your shells cracking. So now you're going to add half of the egg whites to the dry ingredients and fold them together until they're combined. So again, I do about half of it, and then what I do is I mix it around in the bowl and try to get all those dry ingredients combined with the egg whites, and I just kind of keep adding the remaining amount of the mixture, and then I combine them in like a swirl where I'm folding them into each other. Now this can take quite a bit of time to do, and you want to keep checking on your mixture to see if you're getting this ribbon kind of figure 8 consistency. That's when you know it's done and you can transfer it over to a piping bag. When you find the right consistency, you're going to spoon your mixture into a piping bag with a round tip. I'm using a round tip that's about 1/2 inch big. After you're done getting your piping bag ready, you're going to pipe 1 inch rounds onto your baking sheet. Do not grease the sheet or do anything to it. The way that it is, it's perfectly fine. You can also use silicone baking sheets with the rounds on them if you feel comfortable using that. I personally don't like using them. I've tried it and it just hasn't worked out for me, so I went back to using regular parchment paper. As well, you can also download stencils online to help you with creating your 1 inch rounds that you can put underneath parchment paper. Once you're done piping them, you can drop the baking sheet on a work surface about 5 to 6 times to remove any air bubbles, and then you can leave it to sit for 20 to 30 minutes as they kind of harden on top and create this like hard little film. Again, this is really important because this is going to get out any air bubbles that might pop while it's baking. When you can touch the macarons without smudging them in place, then you can place them into the oven for the 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can keep each batch for 15 minutes and do this 1 baking sheet at a time. Now, while they're baking, I'm going to show you to make the buttercream icing to put inside your macarons. So you're going to put the 1/2 cup of butter into the mixer at room temperature. Make sure that the butter is soft, it's going to be easier to work with. After you've done that, you're going to incorporate the 1.5 cups of icing sugar slowly into the mixture. Don't do it all at once because it's going to go everywhere. Once it becomes the consistency that you want, I add about a teaspoon or more, depending on your flavoring, of vanilla extract to the buttercream. Once the buttercream is done, you can set it aside and put it in a piping bag, and we're going to take the shells out of the oven, and this is the result that you should have. Now you want to let your macarons cool completely before you start filling them, so just put them aside, and once everything's cooled, you can start filling them up. You're going to take one of the shells and you're just going to put a bit of buttercream right in the middle, and you're going to take the other half of the shell and just push them together and then give a little bit of a twist. And that's about it. As well, I have included some tips for you guys just in case if something goes wrong or your mixture doesn't work out, that you can go back to this to kind of backtrack and see where maybe an issue went wrong. And practice makes perfect. My first mixture was not the best, so definitely don't be discouraged. Practice makes perfect. As well, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe below, as you'll get the latest updates on any new upcoming videos.